Hi, and welcome to a recommendation video, but not for you necessarily. I mean, yes, you should read these books because a lot of them are some of my favorites, but it's actually it's a recommendation video. Sorry, it's a recommendation video for some of my favorite TV show characters. Not all of them, but some of them I could maybe turn this into a series. I'm not sure. Um, I just randomly had this idea. I don't know if I'm the first person to have this idea or not. Probably not. Um, but I thought it could be fun. I'm going to walk you through some of my favorite TV shows of all time. Those are Friends, Shameless, The Office, Gilmore Girls, Vampire Diaries, Greek, Gossip Girl, Game of Thrones, One Tree Hill, The Outer Banks, Bob's Burgers, and The Challenge. I don't know if I would recommend. I don't know if I'm gonna end up recommending anything to people from The Challenge because that is a reality TV show. But those are my favorite shows, probably of all time. If I'm forgetting something, I'm gonna be so annoyed with myself. But that is the plan for today, is to recommend books to some of my favorite characters. So let's get into that. I'm only going to talk about 6 characters, so they're not all my absolute favorite character from the series, but they are one of my favorite characters, if that makes sense. Some of them are my absolute favorites, but that's a different story. So I think I'll start with Arya from Game of Thrones. Okay, one, she's a very strong character. Two, she loves adventure. She loves exploration. She loves the chance to show that she can like hold her own. I think she should read The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Personally, this book was a little slow. It dragged on for me, but I think that was more so because certain parts of it were very detailed. I think because Arya would love everything that is in this story, I think she would be fine with how tedious it is. It doesn't have like a wrapped up in a pretty little bow kind of ending, which is kind of the vibe you get from Arya's story. Her story arc, her character arc in the show. And if you don't know what this book is about, I guess I could have started with that. This is a fantasy novel that's unlike anything I've ever read, which was really fun. There's a lot of mystery, a lot of intrigue. There's academia. It's pretty much everything in one, and it's fascinating and very interesting. But again, you have to be very interested in adventure and interested in like storytelling. Not that I'm not interested in storytelling, but I think you might not know what I mean. I don't know how to explain it, but you have to be very interested, and I don't think I was, but I think she would be. There's one sentence on the like blurb on the back that I feel like it encapsulates this book pretty well and kind of gives me the vibe that Arya would like it. So it says, "A bee, a key, and a sword emblazoned on the book led Zachary to 2 people who will change the course of his life. Maribel, a fierce pink-haired painter, and Dorian, a handsome barefoot man with shifting alliances." I really do think that she would love this book. Next, I have Miss Blair Waldorf from Gossip Girl. I Listen, I know this has been said before, but I really do think she would love this book because this is her in England, and Blair Waldorf loves nothing more, maybe Chuck, but nothing more than herself. And I love Blair. She's my favorite character in Gossip Girl. And she would devour this series. She'd be like, "Oh, my story and we're talking about gang lords, I love it. Let's do it. So I think she would absolutely love Magnolia Parks and the Daisy Hates universe. Stories and universe? You know what I mean. So if you don't know, Magnolia Parks, the Magnolia Parks series is a story following Magnolia and BJ and their love story, and the big quote is, how many loves do you get in a lifetime? They're like rich people in England. You get gang lords, a lot of fashion talk, which I think Blair would love. It's a good time, but it's also a very emotional time, and I feel like Blair could connect a lot with our main characters. And I love this series so much. So of course I wanted to recommend something that I love to one of my all-time favorite characters. Speaking of one of my all-time favorite characters, I'm going to talk about Jess from Gilmore Girls. I absolutely adore Jess. He is my favorite of Rory's boyfriends. She doesn't deserve him, but if I had to pick one, I would want her to end up with him. His reading taste, very different from mine, but I do think he would love this book. I love this book. And that is Lovely War by Julie Berry. This is it's a stunning, like, just so good. Absolutely stunning. My brain. COVID brain sucks. Okay? Sucks. This is a YA historical romance that is told through the perspective of Greek gods and goddesses, mainly Aphrodite. It's about love, war, history. It's so many things that I think he would enjoy and appreciate more than anything, all wrapped into one. And like, I cannot recommend this book enough. Like, I was so hesitant because it's very intimidating because it's a large book and it's a format that I've never heard of, which is not a bad thing. Like, some of my favorite reads, this included, are books that are in weird formats, or different formats. And what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying, but I really do. I feel like he would appreciate this story so much and enjoy it. And that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. I was saying that I was so scared to pick this up because it's a little bit different than anything I've ever read. And I think I went back and I watched Haley in Bookland's review of it. If you've never watched Haley in Bookland, I'm obsessed with her videos. I've been watching her since like 2019, 2020, and I love her videos. She has like the most fun, cozy hobby vlogs, and like all of her reading content is amazing, and she's so comforting. I love her. But yeah, I went back and I watched one of her reviews of it, and it made me remember that she was the one that originally showed me this book, and then a little bit after that, Destiny read it, and then I was like, okay, I'll read it. And so I read it, and oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did. And I really do think that Jess would love it, and anybody would enjoy this book. I really feel that way. Well, maybe it's not for everybody, and that's totally okay. I can't. It's just so good. Okay, but yes, Jess, he would like this book. And then, oh my, I have Haley from One Tree Hill. And okay, I don't sometimes I think, what would my favorite character's favorite TV show be? I don't know why, but my brain is just weird like that, I guess. And I think Haley's favorite TV show, or at least comfort show, right? Like One Tree Hill, yes, it's one of my favorite shows, but it's not like my favorite. It's a comfort show. And I think her comfort show would be New Girl. I really do. That being said, I feel like she should read Funny Story because everybody says that Miles is just like Nick Miller from New Girl. And I get that, but I also don't get that. But it's enough. I think he embodies the character of Nick Miller enough to where if that was your comfort show, you would really enjoy this book. And I feel like she would think that the plot was a little silly, but overall she would be like, oh my gosh, this is such a fun time. And basically the story of Funny Story is we have Daphne, who is in this long-term relationship. She's engaged, and all out of nowhere, her fiance comes home from his bachelor party and says that he wants to break up because he wants to get together with his best friend, who he's always told her, you don't need to worry about her, basically. So she's kind of distraught, but she moves in with Miles, who is her ex-fiance's new partner's ex-boyfriend. That makes sense, which is Miles. And it's their story of like they're forming a friendship and then they're fake dating to make their exes not jealous, but jealous. And then it's just the story of how they get together, and it's a funny story. And it's a good time, and it's enjoyable, and I really do feel like she would love it. I really do. I think she would appreciate it. Okay, I don't own the next book physically anymore, but we're going to be talking about Phoebe from Friends. Phoebe is weird, she's funny, she's kooky. I think she would like The Pisces by Melissa Broder. I say that because not only is she silly and goofy and quirky and weird, she's also very emotional, and I wouldn't say depressed. She can be, she's just a character that I feel like is most in tune with her own emotions and her own like thoughts, if that makes sense, at least in that show. And I really enjoy watching her, just because she's so fun. I didn't love The Pisces, but I understand why people do, and I understand why it's appreciated and why it's important, and that's something that I feel like Phoebe could relate to, because I feel as if she's not everyone's favorite character, she's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's totally fine. But she is one of my favorite characters, and I think she would enjoy the weird. I think she would appreciate a woman who falls in love with a fish, and she would like the topic of depression, and I think she would enjoy how it was portrayed. She has such a sick sense of humor, and I love it, and I think it's you really see a sick sense of humor and just like a weird, well, not weird, a very twisted way of looking at things in the Pisces. And I think she would want to read that and want to see that put out there, if that makes sense. And then lastly, this one's kind of, it's a stretch, but it's not a stretch. Okay, this is my recommendation, not something I think they would actually like. Maybe they would like it, but I think at first it would be like, not like that. But you know what I mean. Okay, I love Shameless. It's one of my favorite shows, obviously, or it wouldn't be in this video. I love Mickey. terrible, but also great. And I think he should read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. And the reason I say that is because I feel like if he had this, he wouldn't have turned out any different as a kid, unfortunately. But this is a graphic novel story about two boys who fall in love. They become friends and then they fall in love. And I feel like Mickey needs something like this, or needed something like this when he was younger, because he was in a household where you had to be the stereotypical strong man, and being gay was not accepted, and he finally came into his own, but it took a really long time. Spoilers for Shameless. I don't know if anyone's watching this wanting to start that show, but it's a really good show. And I feel like this would be really easy for him to consume because he's not that literate. And I think he would enjoy getting to see what a sweet, healthy high school romance looks like, because what he was in was not. But I love him, and I think he could appreciate this under the right circumstances. And that's really all I've got for that. Yeah, those are the 6 characters and 6 books that I would recommend them. If you enjoyed this, I really hope you enjoyed this, because again, I don't know if this is new, and if it is, great. If not, also great. But I have so many other characters that I love, and it was really fun trying to pair my favorite characters with some of my favorite books, or books that I've appreciated or can see why people would appreciate them. And I would love to do this again. So if you liked this, please let me know, either by liking the video or leaving a comment. And if you can think of a different or better book for these characters, please tell me in the comments. I am dying to know what other people think these characters should read. I just think it's such a fun concept. I don't know. And then subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Bye.